My name is Jennifer Honor, and I'm a wife, mother, worship leader, and handcrafter. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about motherhood, faith, DIY, and a little bit of everything. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hey guys, hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure to subscribe and also to turn on the notification bell so you can get notified every time that I put out a new video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my labor and delivery story for this little pumpkin right here, my third baby, and it was my second successful VBAC, y'all. This birth experience was literally like a blessing. It was amazing. It was the best birth experience ever, and it literally, like, if you know what I went through my first trimester, if you don't, you can watch the video, it's on here. It's literally like God, he gave me like a redemptive labor and delivery story to make up for my horrible first trimester. And so yeah, I can't wait to share it all with you guys. So before I go into the labor and delivery story, there's a few background stories that we need to cover so that everything can come in, you know, you can see the full picture and get the whole testimony of the whole picture. So first thing that I want to say is that so my husband and I, we've been living in Texas not for too long. This July 2021 will be 2 years. So, you know, we got pregnant less than a year of being here, or just about a year of being here. And honestly, it was something that we were very anxious about because we're still pretty new here. Our entire family, like I'm talking about blood family, our entire family is back home in the DMV area. I mean, granted, we formed some great community here in Texas. We have some good friends that we've made and whatnot, but it still pales in comparison to, you know, what we had back home, where our entire family was with us. Our church family that we've been with for years was with us. Friends that we made, friends of friends of friends, and like just our entire community, our entire family is back home. So being here in Texas for less than 2 years, it was a little scary because it's like we're technically alone. We know we're not alone, but you know, it kind of feels like that sometimes. So it was a little scary, you know, going through a whole pregnancy without that much of support like we had with our first two. So that's one. The second thing to hear is, I mean, obviously being here in Texas, there is a sharp contrast when it comes to, you know, the whole topic of discrimination and stuff, you know, than it was back home in the DMV. It's more, I feel like it's very much prevalent here. And so that was something that I was very nervous about, especially when it, you know, when I would think about my labor and delivery, when I would go to the hospital, like, will I have, you know, the right people to care for me? Will they care, you know, for me, or will they have their own, you know, biases and stuff like that? So that was one thing that I was really scared of. But thankfully my OBGYN, oh my gosh, I love her. She's amazing. She's been great to me. And I just really was praying that she would be the one to, you know, deliver my baby. But of course, there's no guarantee, you know, when you work for like a big hospital like that, or like a big conglomerate, whatever the word is for, you know, it's hard to just get that specific person. So whoever is on call when you go to a hospital is who you get. And that brings me to my third background story. So I hadn't seen my actual OB for like over a month because she was being scheduled in the hospital more and less in the clinic. So when I would go for my weekly appointments, I would have to see nurse practitioners because my doctor didn't have any, like she barely had any availabilities and they were all booked. So I hadn't seen her for like over a month. So yeah, I think that covers the background story. Now let's get to the labor and delivery. So I had my baby, I had her at 37 weeks, 5 days. So practically 38 weeks. And 2 weeks prior to that, I had been having some contractions, which I thought were Braxton Hicks, you know, and they probably were. They were so irregular, they were painful, you know. I just practiced breathing through it, even though I didn't really have to breathe through it, but I just took it as practice. You know, so 2 weeks prior to that, that's when it started. So at 36 weeks, you know, I noticed that it was getting a little bit stronger, but nothing crazy. Stronger, but nothing crazy. I was like, okay, I mean, hey, it's still Braxton Hicks, so whatever. Week 37 rolls by and these contractions are getting heavier and heavier. And plus, when I went to my weekly appointments for those 2 weeks, the nurse practitioner checked my cervix to see if I was dilated, and I was not at all. Like, zero, nada. And it was even hard for them to reach because apparently I was still like posterior, so I was not dilated at all. So at 37 weeks, the pain was getting stronger and stronger, and with each passing day, it was getting stronger. So I was like, I don't know if Braxton Hicks are supposed to be this painful, but okay, whatever. And I know that if your Braxton Hicks are painful, that means you're kind of dehydrated, so just drink a little bit more water. So I started chugging water, I started drinking more water, but still, like, it really wasn't doing anything. So I had her on a Tuesday. So Sunday, you know, my husband was serving at church, so we all went to church. Still feeling pretty good. Contractions were a little painful, but nothing crazy. Monday rolls around and I was like, something is up. Like, I can't be contracting this painfully and it be Braxton Hicks. And it was so irregular. So like, it got to a point I didn't even want to keep track of it anymore. I didn't want to use the contraction timer or tracker because I would track it and then like 2 hours later it stops, like for like forever, and then comes back like later in the night. So I got really annoyed tracking it because it's like, okay, it's nothing. Like, it's 8 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart, and then it would stop for like 5 hours and then come back. So I was like, okay, I'm annoyed at this point. So that Monday, it was just getting stronger and stronger, especially in the evening. And I started timing it again, and it was still very much irregular. It was like 8 minutes apart, and then it would be 4 minutes apart, and then 10 minutes apart. I'm like, okay, I'm not going through this. So during the night, I honestly couldn't really sleep like for a continuous amount of time because it would wake me up. The contractions would wake me up. It was painful. You know, I could tolerate it, but it was like, dang, like, are they supposed to be this painful? It's just Braxton Hicks, right? And so Tuesday morning comes around and the contractions were still there, you know, and they were getting more painful and more painful. And I called my husband. I was like, okay, babe, I think something is wrong. Either I'm in labor and I don't know, or these Braxton Hicks is just not normal. So I was timing them and they were like still 8 minutes apart, but the pain, it got to a point I couldn't even breathe through it anymore. I was like, okay, I'm going to the hospital. And one thing too that kept me home for a little longer was that I didn't want to go to the hospital and then be sent back home. Because, you know, if you know the stories, they tell you to only come in when they're like 5 minute contractions are 5 minutes apart, and mine weren't. So, I was like, okay, I can't take this pain anymore. Like, something is up. I am gonna go to the hospital and I'm gonna tell them it's 5 minutes apart. I mean, they're not gonna sit me down and time me, you know? So I was like, you know what? Let's just go to the hospital. So we got our kids ready. We dropped them off at our friend's house. And then we got, you know, thankfully we had packed our hospital bags like a few weeks before because I got a blood pressure scare, so I thought we were gonna have to go into the hospital, but we didn't, thank God. So thankfully we had our hospital bags packed, and then we went to the hospital. You know, I got checked in and everything, and so I got taken to triage. Right, you get taken to triage first, and then they check, and then they monitor your contractions and check your cervix and see if they need to keep you or they need to send you home, right? So we got to triage and the nurse was like, okay, go into the bathroom and take your clothes off and just put the gown on and we'll strap you to the monitor, blah, 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 right? So then I go to the bathroom and I'm like, God, please don't let them send me home. Don't let them send me home. And, you know, I did get a contraction in there and it was so painful. So I come out of the bathroom, I get ready to sit on the bed, right? So the nurse can do whatever she got to do. and the door flings open and it's my doctor, y'all. It's my doctor. She comes and she's like, oh my goodness, I saw your name on the computer. And I was like, that's my patient. And then she came and guys, like, I cannot tell you the excitement that I felt. Like my husband had not been able to come with me to the doctor's appointment because of COVID. So he has never seen my doctor before. He doesn't know who my doctor is, but all he knows is that I had to tell him good stuff about my doctor, about how much I love her. So he got so excited for me. My doctor was like super excited. I was super excited. We hugged each other. I was like, yes, you're here. Oh my gosh, I'm excited, right? And so then she was like, yeah, let me check your cervix, and she told the nurse to hold off because like if she checks my cervix and then after that we can determine if I'm gonna go home or whatever they're gonna do. So y'all, my doctor checks my cervix and I'm 5 centimeters dilated. I'm 5 centimeters dilated, y'all. So this whole time I was not crazy. I was actually in labor, guys. I was in labor. I was like, thank you, God, I'm not getting sent home. My doctor was like, yeah, you're not going anywhere. You know what? Don't even strap her to anything. Let's just take her straight to her room, to her delivery room, because she is not going home. So I was like, thank you, God, I'm not going home. I'm here. I can get my epidural and then be good. And then I was like, yes, my doctor's here. She's gonna deliver me. And then she was like, oh, my shift ends at 5 o'clock. So we got to the hospital at 2 o'clock, right? And then she said her shift ends at 5. I was like, no. I was hoping she would deliver me. But she said her shift ends at 5 because her husband is also a doctor and they rotate, who has the kids, every night or whatever. And it was her turn to pick up the kids that day. So she was leaving at 5. I was like, oh, bummer. But hey, I was so thankful that I saw her and whatever. So they checked me into my room, they checked my vital signs, draw blood, start an IV, and then get my epidural going, right? So this whole time Taylor was having contractions and I'll hold my husband's hand and then breathe through it. And honestly, it was painful, but after it would go away, like I was just chilling. I was like, yo, I could legit do this, without epidural, but I was like, nah, because once the time comes to push, I'm sure it would have doubled like 50 million or like increased like 50 million times. So I got my epidural, right? Everything went smoothly, started feeling it. So I turn around to sit on my bed and then lay down. Y'all, I felt this big gush of water like explode on the bed, and it literally took me by surprise. Like it literally took my breath away. I was like, oh my gosh, my water just broke. Like literally, that's how I looked on the bed. Guys, my water has never broken on its own before. With my first two kids, the doctors had to break it themselves, and of course I couldn't feel anything because I was on epidural and my whole bottom down was numb, so I couldn't even feel it when they broke it. But this time, y'all, like it was literally like right after my epidural, so like it hadn't fully kicked in. Guys, I turned around to lay down and whoosh, it was so crazy. Like I felt so, I didn't even have a word to describe how I felt, because I was just like, I was happy, I was shocked, I couldn't believe that it literally just happened like out of nowhere. But I was so thankful because like it was one of my prayers for this pregnancy. I was like, Lord, let my water break. Like I wanted to experience that so badly, and I did, and it was like such a great feeling. And it's funny how like at home, like you'd be waiting and seeing if your water is gonna break, and you're like not sure how it's gonna feel. Will I know? Will I not know? Y'all, if your water breaks, you will know. Even if you're in the shower, trust me, the gush of water, like how it is with the force and the air, like you will know. So yeah, it was definitely a great feeling. And I think my doctor came in. Oh no, I think she was right there actually. And I was like, yeah, my water broke. She was like, oh, that's awesome. So then she checked me again, and this time I think it was around like 4 or like 3:45ish. Yeah, it was like 3:45ish. She checked me and she was like, oh, you're at a 7, like 7 to 8. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Okay, so then this is a 3:45, so she's like, all right, I'm gonna come back in 30 minutes and check you and see, and we can go from there, you know? I was like, okay, great, sounds good. I was just chilling in the bed and just waiting for her to come back. And so she comes back at like 4:15-ish, and she checks me and she's like, okay, we're ready to go. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you're ready to have the baby, like you're at a 10. I was like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? So she's like, okay, on the next contraction, let's do a practice push. My girls, they fight and they make up, they fight, but anyways, ignore them. So she said, on the next contraction, let's do a practice push. So the next contraction happens and she's like, okay, push your leg back. And the other nurse, she was like, push your leg back, you know, whatever they gotta do. And I start pushing and she's like, oh, okay, hold on. No practice push needed. You're ready. Hey, girls. Shh. Hope stop crying, please. I'll be right there. Yo, Hope cries for nothing. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her, guys. I promise you. But anyways, yeah, she was like, no, okay, no practice push needed. Get everybody ready. Everybody come here. We're ready to have this baby. So everybody's just scrambling, bringing what's necessary. And then like I started having another contraction. She was like, all right, go ahead and push. Look, with every push, Hopi, stop crying. Go sit down and watch with your sister, please. Then stop crying. With every push, like my husband, my doctor, the nurses, all of them would be like, oh my gosh, keep going. You do really good. Oh my gosh, I see the hair. Yo, the way they gassed me up, like they literally help you so much in pushing, like with your commentaries and with the encouragement. Like I literally feel like with every push, the baby would just come out. Like that's how great of an encouragement they were to me. So I pushed like 3 times, right? And with all those pushes, like they literally made me feel like the baby was out. So then after that third push, I heard my doctor asking one of the nurses for a forceps or whatever, forceps. And she was like, she told me, she was like, hey mama, you know, you're doing great. Baby's making good progress. Just give us your best this last push because baby's heart rate is dropping. With this push, if she doesn't come out, I'm gonna have to give you a little bit of help with the forceps, okay? I was like, okay. For some reason, I don't know, I didn't get nervous, I didn't panic when she said baby's heart rate was dropping, because I was like, I'm gonna push this baby out on this last one because that's what needs to happen. So the contraction came and she was like, all right, time to push. Y'all, when I tell you, I felt like my blood vessels were about to pop. See, told you, nothing wrong with her. When I tell you I feel like my blood vessels were about to pop. I pushed like I have never pushed in my life before. And the baby came out. You came out, little mama. You came out. Yes, you did. Mwah. She came out, y'all, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh. So they cleaned her up, they put her on me. I was like, oh my gosh, she's here. Yo, I kid you not, like, I turned over to my husband. He was like literally shedding a tear because this was such an emotional birth for us. Like, how quick this was, guys. I got to the hospital at 2. At 4:30, I had her. My doctor was supposed to leave at 5 p.m., y'all. Like, she took care of me. She had my baby, sewed me up. I had 2nd-degree tear this time. I think it was just my first tear from my other VBAC that like opened up a little bit. And so my doctor sewed me up, and y'all, I was done. Like, the baby was out. She was out. She honestly did not even cry. She was like, She didn't cry, and I just knew she was gonna be a perfect little baby, and she still is. She barely cries. She's a very content baby. You feed her, change her diaper. She's good, y'all. But yeah, that is our VBAC story. My VBAC story. Everything went so fast, so smooth, y'all. If I had stayed home for a few more hours, I would have had this baby at home. I'm so glad I went to the hospital when I did, and things turned out the way they did, and my doctor was able to deliver me. Man, it just felt like such a huge blessing, because God, like, it just felt like God was giving me a gift. Like, here you go for the troubles you had to go through your first trimester, and it just felt so special. My husband also, and just everything with us being so anxious about how our birth experience was gonna go here, and just, man, it was so overwhelming just to see God's hand in it. And even coming home, like, you know, our community here has been so awesome, so amazing. Like, the amount of meals we've had, the amount of love that people have shown us, the gifts that people have given us. Like, my baby registry was literally almost bought out, like almost bought out, just like 6 items left on there. And we're so grateful and thankful for it all, guys. And yeah, just wanted to come by and share that with you guys quickly. Also, just to encourage y'all, this is my second VBAC, guys, and every time it's gone well. It's been amazing. Just wanted to encourage anybody out there that is trying to, you know, do a VBAC, that it is possible, it is doable. Just make sure you're staying prayed up, and, you know, even if it doesn't happen for you, just know that the best way that your child was supposed to come into this earth is how they end up coming. You know, God has his hand on you and your baby, so don't worry about how the baby comes out. I pray you do get your heart's desire, but if you don't let that stop you. Don't let that slow you down, and don't let that, you know, get you down. Just be happy and be thankful and grateful that your baby is, you know, you and your baby are safe. Also, if you do want to see baby's face, all things baby related, make sure you follow me on my Instagram, because I do post a lot on there. I'll put, you know, my handle here, or my @ here. So yeah, follow me on Instagram, and you can get a lot more content on there too. Yeah, so that is it for this video. If you have any more questions, just ask in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you. So yeah, I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.